you're not splitting the wood, you're just trying to split the bark right down the center. Just enough for your next tool, which we'll talk about here in a second. Now, you notice how that log's moving around for me there? We need to secure that. So to do that, we have another tool, and we call this a log dog. Let me hear you say log dog.
Log dog.
Log dog. It's like a big staple. And we use that to hold our wood together so it doesn't move on us. Got one side. Might as well get the other one in here. Now that's not perfect, but that's better than what it was. See how this isn't moving as much as before? So what we would do is we would split and go, we're not going to go the whole end, but you would split down the center of this log, ideally go the entire length. Then, to get the bark off, you'd use another tool. It's called a bark spud. Let me hear you say bark spud.
Bark spud.
Or maybe a bark peeler, okay? We call this a bark spud, and you can see it's just got a handle with a sharp flat end on it. And what this was used for is that you would get in between this log, between the bark and the wood. If you get underneath there, you can peel this bark off. On the right time of the year, this comes off really nice. And depending on what kind of tree you're working with, you would use this bark to make stuff. If this was hemlock, we would save this bark and it would go to the tanneries. Because there's a lot of tanneries up here. There's still, well, there was one over in Girard on Tannery Road. It's one of the biggest tanneries we had in the state for a long time. And they would use that bark as, they would, let's say, work it down. The chemical out of that bark they would use for the hides would be tannic acid. Here, let me get it started for you. Getting it. See, you're cutting down there. See, now he gets a little taller, he's going to be an expert at this. But they had smaller drills too. Good, good. Alright, let's give someone else a try. Come on up. Yeah, back it out. So, yep, there you go. Back it out that way, good. Whoa! Whoop. You gotta watch that top. You gotta keep that one on your hand. One hand up here. You're gonna smack yourself in the head there.
I got that on video.
Of course, they all had helmets, right?
Yeah.
Do they have helmets?
No.
No helmets. There you go. Now you're cutting. The trick is keeping that pole straight up and down.
I got that on video.
Good job.
Hey.
There's a lot of friction on this thing.
It is, yeah. See, there actually used to be a little wooden handle on that very top. Very good. All right, that's good.
No wonder.
All right, anybody else want to try? All right. Now this may drag a little baby log here. This isn't even going to make them sweat. And we're going to work around here like this.
Can I put my arm down for a minute?
All right, we need a new one. about as deep as these drill bits are going. These this curvy part of these blades are going. You need to get down deep, and you need to do that on this log, and then also on this to that line. I'm not concerned about getting all this stuff yet. Once you get, the hardest part is just getting it started. Now, don't be afraid to swing it kind of a good distance, because the more that you pull, the quicker you're going to cut that log. Okay? Go ahead. Here we go. Go like this. One hand or two hands, then bring it down onto the log. Hold up. Hold up. Get on the end, it gets a little tricky.
Yeah, it does get tight at the end. Get some muscle.
Watch your leg. Oh, you can pull it. Now you pull hard back.
Conditions like when people were locked.
Well, it wasn't very easy. Oftentimes they were living back in the woods quite a ways and be miles, many miles away from any kind of civilization. So they would often have to make their own makeshift cabin when they got out there, and they might bathe maybe once a week, or maybe for longer than that. It might be 2 or 3 weeks before they had a chance to take a bath. Matter of fact, it might be 60 loggers all staying in the same cabin, which would be probably half the size of this structure right here. Sometimes it smelled so bad inside that they'd rather sleep outside on the roof than be inside with everybody else.
How long would it take for 2 loggers to cut down the tree, and how many would they cut down in a day?
Well, they might take an hour maybe to cut one tree, depending on how complicated it was. If it was a really big tree, it took some time to get that tree down. But if it was a smaller tree or it was easier to take down, it really wouldn't take them long at all. It might only take them a couple minutes to get that tree down. And they would work all day, so depending on what kind of wood they were cutting, it all depends on how much they'd get down in a day. But if you cut one big tree down in Cook Forest in a couple hours, you would probably get, depending on the tree, you'd probably get close to over 4,000 to 5,000 board feet of wood easy, just in one tree. So if you cut a number of those down in a day, you might have close to 60,000 board feet of wood in a day.
What types of mills were there?
What types of mills? Well, there were mostly lumber mills and some grist mills. Grist mills was where they would, the water would turn stones, and it would grind grain down, grind oats, corn, and they would make that into grain. So that was a type of a grist mill. And lumber mills were water-driven mills that would be moving the saw blades up and down. It's the two main ones that I can think of.
Okay.
Some of them were steam-driven too, right?
Yeah, a little later, then you get into your steam-driven mills. Yeah, your first mills, like down here on the creek, Flomont Creek, would have been water-driven mills. Then later, when they invented steam engines, you're able to cut a lot more wood once you got into the steam engines. Yep. Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.